You're frustrated. You're frustrated as a PT, you're frustrated as a gym owner, you're frustrated as anybody who owns and runs their own business. You put in the hours, you put in the energy, and you look around you, and those around you seem to be making more than you with much less effort. And they do a normal 9-to-5 job. And it makes you think, did I make the wrong move here? Did I make a mistake opening my own gym, my own facility, my own business? Should I have just graduated and gone and taken a job at a company somewhere, done my 9-to-5, collected my paycheck, gone home, and been able to just relax a little bit more instead of being so stressed, so burnt out, and always just struggling to try and make progress here? I've been there, I've done that, and I'm going to tell you my point of view on this issue because it's so common, especially amongst people in the health and fitness industry. If you're a gym owner, if you're a PT, even if you're an online coach, this still applies. So in the early days when I opened Adonis Athletics, for a couple of years, I had to basically go there and be there from 5 a.m. and I would not finish until 10 p.m. Okay, I didn't have any business partners, so I was basically doing it all myself. I had to be there the whole day at the gym, and not only that, because it was the early days of the business, and what I wanted to work with was just athletes or people who were really motivated to train and wanted to push themselves and have big goals and things like that. That wasn't the case. The people who actually paid the bills, the majority of clientele out there, were just general population who did not really have any big goals and needed to be motivated all the time just to lose a couple of kilos. The exact type of people I hate training personally, right? But I had to swallow the pill and get it done because I needed to in order to be able to pay the rent, right? And get things going, create a momentum. A lot of time passed and the gym was growing slowly, right? And I was putting in some mega hours. Like I was telling you, I would get there at like 5 a.m. and I would not leave until 10 p.m. because those were the operational hours of the gym, right? And I didn't have anybody else to help me because I couldn't pay anybody else to help me, right? So I would look around to my friends who had just graduated and they were working at a company, pretty good job, right? They were making $90,000, $100,000, $120,000 a year. I'm not even taking a profit home. I'm just paying the rent and a little bit left over to be able to just buy food or petrol or something like that, right? And it even got to a point where once I remember this, someone told me, man, you work a lot of hours. If I worked as much as you, these many hours, at just like even 20 bucks a week, 20 bucks an hour, I'd be a millionaire, right? Like that was the volume of work I was putting into the gym because it wasn't just the hours there. Then I would go home and I'll do like more work related stuff. So, and then on the weekends also the same thing. Like I remember still distinctly to this day, back then I would go in on Saturdays and Sundays because that's really one of the only times I used to have to do programs. And I would go in when the sun was out and I would come out of the gym when it was dark doing programs, right? I mean, I get exhausted just remembering them back. I don't know how I had the patience to do it for that long. And when I heard that comment, it was kind of true, right? So it stung a little bit. And I just stuck it out, right? I ignored it, I stuck it out, I kept doing my thing. And now, thankfully, like I am where I am with the gyms and the gyms are where they are, right? So time went on, right? I stuck it out, thankfully I did, and now I am where I am. As time passed, because back then when I heard this, I didn't have any previous business experience, didn't have a business coach, no business knowledge. I wasn't even a manager at any business before this, right? This was my first ever business, doing it by myself with no business partners, no financial backing, and yeah, like away we go, right? Hoping for the best. But as time passed, I became more and more interested in business development, right? And so I picked up more and more business knowledge as time went on. And what I realized was that that wasn't really the issue, right? There was a couple of things at play here which I didn't see at the time, not fully anyway. And I'm making this video because I've heard others in a similar situation say similar things to me, right, about their frustration of where they are. They are in relatively early days of building their brand, their own personal brand and profile as, let's just say, PTs, as coaches, as business owners. And they see that the proportion of effort to reward is ridiculous. It's a joke, right? They look around to their boyfriends, to their girlfriends, to their parents, to their high school friends, and they see that they are working at a company, putting in just a normal 9 to 5, a pretty cruisy job. They're hanging around the water cooler all day talking anyway, and they collect their 6-figure paychecks yearly, and they go home and they've got time to go out for a picnic on the weekends, go for a walk at the beach, etc. It starts to hurt, right? It starts to get really frustrating. Totally understand. I was there myself. Let me give you an answer to your frustration of why you feel like this. Firstly, anything that you start, okay, that you feel is going to have a big payoff later, in this case it does, having your own brand, having your own personal brand developed and established is going to have a much bigger long-term payoff for you than somebody working at a firm or at a company. Because at any point they can be let go of that company. At any point they could not even be let go. They could just begin to hate what they do at the company, even if they get promoted. And in fact, it's usually when they get promoted, because then they have more responsibilities, right? And you hear stories about this all the time. People who have very well-paying financial positions, like corporate jobs, in finance, in legal, in whatever, and they quit just to do something super simple for a fraction of the money because they just hate living like that, right? Slowly, all their freedoms are squeezed. Like, for example, you have to ask the permission just to be able to leave, just to have like a week to go on a holiday, right? In my opinion, that's not what actual freedom is. To be able to create some sort of a freedom for yourself and be able to have that space to move, that's true freedom, right? So there's a couple of things at play here, going back to what I was saying. One is that creating something like this that is going to have long-term payoff and momentum, in the initial period, that is by nature the way it is. The amount of effort feels entirely disproportionate to the amount of payoff that you get, to the point that, like I said, it feels like this is a big joke. Like, is this even worth it? I used to think that on a daily basis at a point as I was building Adonis Athletics in the early days, because it would be constant in my face, you know, even to the point where like family and relatives were saying things like that, you know, like if I worked as much as you did, I would be a millionaire, you know, because they were just equating the hours to the hourly wage, like hourly pay, right? But they didn't understand that. And it's not their fault, right? They're not business minded. They didn't understand that this is how building something that is going to hopefully last and be the other way around later down the track, where the amount of payoff is disproportionately big to the amount of effort now. So the other way around, that takes time. So either you pay a lot now to get a lot later, or you can just like have it easy now, like not easy, like balanced now, and keep that same balance later. I don't see it as a balance. I see, you know, a corporate 9 to 5 job as basically like a prison sentence, right? So that was one part of it, right? The other part I realized much later was it's not that you've picked the wrong endeavor. It's that you don't know yet how to play that game. Okay? Let me explain to you what I mean. So a lot of times we look at these people around us and we think to ourselves, shit, did I pick like an industry that there is no money in? Like, did I pick something that there's no demand, where people don't even want to really do this? They don't have the money for it, right? And I realized that's total bullshit, right? Because there's so many, there are absolutely niches you can go into where it becomes like really hard to make like a recurring significant amount of money, depending on what significant means to you, right? Like if you want to make $1 million a month, there are certain niches that are not going to be able to do that for you, right? They're so niched down that it's very, very hard to be able to do that. That even if you can do that, it's like so much effort and so much work that you're just better off picking something else, right? But what I realized was that it's likely that's not the reason. The reason is that you don't yet know how to play the game, or you're not playing it right. What I mean is this. Let me give an example. I've got a friend who helps out at a gym to run a few classes a day, right? In exchange for running those classes, he is allowed to bring his own personal training clients to the gym, to that same gym, and train them free of charge without them needing to pay any entry fee or without him needing to pay any rent to the gym, right? In exchange for running those classes, he gets to bring in as many PT clients as he likes, as many, no limit, as many PT clients as he likes, including, if he can get them, clients of that gym. If he can persuade any clients of the gym to do any PT sessions with him, he's free to take them, right? He has about 5 hours in the day where he doesn't have classes, right? And this gives him time to do his PT work, and if he wants to get his own training in, he can. If he wants to go to have food, he can, whatever. This is what I mean by not knowing yet how to play the game, the business game, right? How to maximize efficiency. What he does is he takes a PT client and goes one-on-one for an hour and charges a decent hourly rate. What he could do instead is he could have done a 1-on-2 or 1-on-3 session, or even more maybe, right? Where it still feels pretty personal, they still get a fantastic service, and he can charge less per client, but he will make more per hour. And those same slots of time, he can now make multiples of amounts that he was making in the same block of free time that he had. But his frustration with the amount of money that he makes with this position is not that the position that he's in is a bad position. It's actually a pretty good deal. In exchange for the classes that you run, you can bring in, essentially, you are essentially unlimited in the amount of money you can make. You can design this free time that you've been given and this access to resources and the gym and the equipment there and all of this stuff. You can engineer it however you like. It's just that he hasn't learned how to engineer it. And that's because he hasn't gone to pursue the right coach or learn the right knowledge in order to be guided down that right path. So what is going to happen to him, or a person like him who is never, somebody never steps in and says, hey, you should do it like this instead, is he will do it and do it and do it. 1, 2, 3, 4 years maybe will pass, and eventually one day he will look back. Maybe he'll hear it from somebody, or he'll watch a video on YouTube or whatever, or he'll think about it and go, oh crap, that's what I should have done, right? But by then it's too late. Now years have passed. So he would have been better off getting the coaching in the first place by somebody else, right? And again, more to the important point, which is that it's not that he's in the wrong industry or that he is in the wrong place or anything like that that prevents him from being able to make the same as those people around him, his high school friends, his peers and stuff like that. In fact, he can very easily, with much less work, much less stress, make the same or even more than what they were making, right? But it's just that he doesn't yet know how to play that game. And that's what it really comes down to a lot of times. A business can be as simple as, yeah, opening the doors, getting clients and making money. But that's like the first level, right? That's you're just like a beginner now. You entered the game. We're trying to get to grandmaster level, right? We're trying to squeeze all the juice out here. How can we engineer this thing to be as effective and as efficient as possible, so we turn the tides? Instead of putting in all this effort for very little return, it becomes the other way, where we put in very little effort for all this return, right? Disproportionately. And this is something that it took me a long time to understand and realize. And I wanted to say this in this video because I understand how frustrating it is for PTs, for business owners, for gym owners, that you are just doing all this work and it seems like it's just this hamster wheel, just doesn't finish. There's no progress. It's just because you need to firstly understand that in the initial period of anything new that you are embarking on that has the potential to get somewhere really big down the track, that is the nature of it. You're going to have to do a lot of work for very little in return. And that's why business isn't for everybody. Because if it wasn't like that, so many other people would be opening businesses and making it successful. By human nature, it's hard to stick it out for so little in return, for so long. And different businesses take different lengths of time because of different reasons. Whether it's the market, whether it's the person's personality, the things you're executing on, not executing on, and so on. And then the other part is, but this is the part where you can really make a big difference, because you can actually make direct impact on what you choose to do and not do, is what is it that you're doing with the situation you're given? Are you playing the game the way a grandmaster plays it? Or are you playing it like a beginner plays it?